Ijiesan was a captive. He was banished from the Benin Kingdom. Ijiesan was a fugitive. Ijiesan was a criminal. Ijiesan. He was a captive. He was banished from the Benin Kingdom. When you talk about any particular thing about Esan history, you are just allowing me to expose the weakness of the Esan people. Esan is not a kingdom. Esan is a clan. Esan language is a dialect of the Benin. The civilization of the Esan people, they borrowed everything you see in Esan land were borrowed from the Benin Empire. They borrowed everything, they copied everything from it. Is it the tribal mark? The tribal mark you see the Esan people mark on their body, they borrowed it from us. The mark they put on their face, they also imitated it from us. The easy identification mark, identification which made Oba Ewari the Selfish introduced tribal marks about 1462. Let Esan people listen to this book. Let Esan people to mark their face. Copycat. Let me use that word. Copycat. They imitate anything you see in Esan land. They borrowed it from Benin. The Benin Empire is described as the most highly developed state in the coastal hinterland of West Africa. The Benin Empire was the most highly, not just developed, most highly developed state in the coastal hinterland of West Africa. That is how the Europeans describe the Benin Empire. The tribal marks on the face and on the body were introduced in 1462 by Oba Ewari the First. It was done to prevent slavery. Once you see that tribal mark on my face or on my body, you will know that this is Benin, and you will stay away from that person. You will not capture or kidnap him for slave trade. Esan is yesterday born. He said, easy identification, which made Oba Ewari the Selfish introduce tribal marks about 1462, led Esan people to mark their faces at WARO, in slavery and on the road. People from same area easily recognized themselves and were thus able to assist themselves or prevent fatal mistakes. The body tattoo was at first an imitation of the Benin's. The Benin's, they gave Esan their civilization. We have five kings who were warriors. The first one was Oba Ewari the First, and the last one was Oba Ijiesan. The history are there. The tribal mark you see in Esan people putting on their body today is an imitation of us. They copied it from us. The kingship Onoje title, we gave it to them. The Onoje in Esan land, they were chiefs. Esan has never been a kingdom. Onoje means the king representative. They were chiefs. From chiefs, they turned them, Oba Ewari turned them to what? To Onoje. He said the body tattoo was at first an imitation of the Benin's, because after Ewari's time, anyone who had not the tattoo could not gain an entrance to the Oba's palace. You see it? If you don't have that tattoo, you cannot gain an entrance to the Oba palace. That's why Esan people said, okay, for us to enter the palace, let us also do it the way they mark it. Is it the hairstyle? Esan people copied it from us. The tribal mark, they copy. The hairstyle, they copy. The language, they copy. The SMB will be crying that we are Edu audio. Not be we talking. Now antecedent, now origin, now history. It's not our fault. You cannot change it. Esan is a subgroup of the Benin Empire. Ijiesan was a captive, he was a fugitive, he was a criminal. He ran away from the Benin Empire. Anything you see now that contradicts what has already been written centuries ago is fake. It's fake. It's a propaganda. The history that you have about the Benin Empire were documented from three sources. One, the artifacts, the artworks. Artworks was a symbol of narrating the history. Then number two, we have oral history narration. Oral history narration. It was from oral history narration that we got the written history. When the Europeans came, the historians, the ethnographers, the anthropologists, when they came, they were told that is oral. They saw that is ethnography. When the Europeans anthropologists came, they were told things that they didn't see. They wrote. This is how we have been doing it. This is how we'll be doing it. Then they also lived with the people. Some lived with them. They lived with them, traded with them. That's what they call ethnography. Is it's a branch of history. When we talk about ethnography, it's a branch of history, or it's a segment of history where, in order for you to study about the people, the people's past, you have to live with them, infused in them, lived, dwell with them, habit with them. If not for the Oba of Benin, Esan would have been slaves like the Yorubas and the Igbo people. Who was Ijiesan? Ijiesan was a fugitive from the Benin Empire that ran into the forest. Ijiesan. They are talking about. I have a book here. There's no historical account to show that the Esan people went to any WARO. They were our subject. They never fought any war. Even that of Nupe, it is Nupe invaded Esan land. That is what we have in history books. It is not Esan Nupe WARO. No. The Nupe people defeated the Esan people. They defeated them. There's no historical book to show that the Esan people, they fought any WARO. No historical books. The three major sources of history that we have today is one, oral narrative, oral history narratives. We have the European travelers account and the artifact. These are the major ways in which the history that we have about the Benin have been documented. These three major ways have been documented. And the European traveler account, we have Lingrot, we have Tabot, we have Aroi Brebri. I can mention on and on. I'll begin to mention names. Show me a book written by any European historian that talks about Esan as a kingdom. Show me a book written by any Europeans that shows that Esan land was a kingdom. Show me a book where Esan fought WARO and tell me the ethnicity of tribe that they fought WARO with. Not any historical books to prove to it. The history of my great Benin, where I represent, the history we are talking about, the great Benin today, they were documented and written by the Europeans. We also documented our history through artifacts. We also documented our history through oral history narratives. Esan is not a kingdom. It is a clan. It is a clan. Show me a book that talks about the etymology of the word Esan. Tell me, was the word Esan in existence before the reign of Obaewale the First? If yes, show me any historical account that claims that the word Esan was already in existence before the coming of Obaewale. Because I said that according to Okoje, the word Esanfoa, which later shortened to Esan, came into existence during the reign of Obaewale the First. Ijiesan do? We make the banish Akuma for Benin Empire. Do you know what transpired? What Ijiesan, what he did that made them to banish him from the Benin kingdom? Should I tell you? If I tell you now, you will know that these Esan people, they not supposed to sleep with people wife. Now they do. One of the reasons, one of the ancestors of the Esan people, they were banished from the Benin kingdom because they were sleeping with people's wife.